This is the second in a series of simulated flights in Vietnam using Google Earth Pro Flight Simulator. In the first video, we flew over the western part of the Centaur area of operations, beginning at Ton Son and ending at Tay Ninh West Airfield. We begin this second flight at Ben Hoa Air Base. We will first fly over the Long Binh area, then proceed up to Phu Loi and ending our flight at Lai Khe. We have used Google Earth Pro to orient ourselves on runway 9 right. We will now enter the flight simulator mode and push the throttle forward and start down the runway. As we become airborne, we will level up and continue east. The first base we will fly over is Camp Frenzell Jones. After the 25th Infantry Division left Vietnam in early 1971, one air cavalry troop known as D Troop 3rd Squadron, 4th Cavalry stayed behind and was assigned to this base. It was here that the troop was transferred to the 1st Aviation Brigade and was redesignated F Troop 4th Air Cavalry. They chose to keep their original call sign as Centaurs and thus retained the legacy of their former unit. Camp Frenzell Jones can now be seen as the yellow marker indicating a Centaur home base. The base was located between what can be seen as a wide boulevard on the left and a railroad on the right. On the south side of the railroad and east of QL1 Highway was Plantation Airfield. As we bank to the south following QL1, the site of the 90th Replacement Battalion will come into view. This base was familiar to most new troops arriving in country at Ben Hoa and awaiting assignments to new units. The next base is Long Binh Main Base. It encompassed the area ahead seen as a rounded pie-shaped area between QL1 on the right and QL15 on the left. We are following QL15 down the east side of the base and will fly over the site of Sandford Army Airfield. Centaurs moved here in January 1972 after being stationed at Lai Khe for almost a full year. It was a short stay at Sandford, however, as by April the troop was summoned to I Corps to become involved in the Easter Offensive. They remained in I Corps from then until the end of the war. We have now completed a turn back toward Ben Hoa. We will pass back over the base to get a better view of what that base looks like today. Wikipedia lists the base as the home of the Vietnam People's Air Force's 935th Fighter Regiment flying Russian Su-30s. From current Google Earth photos, however, it appears that it is more of an old aircraft storage area. At least no modern aircraft can be seen from the satellite view. The base consists of two main runways seen on the right, as well as a helicopter landing strip on the left. As we pass over, you will be able to see the old covered revetments left from the war. Since we will be passing quickly over that site, I have provided an overlay that gives a better view. It appears a few old Hueys can be seen, as well as some scrapped Delta Wing aircraft that resemble the old MiG-21s. At the far end of the runway, you can see a storage area for some type of old twin-engine straight-winged aircraft. As we leave Ben Hoa, we pass over the Dong Nai River on our way to Phu Loi Base. As we gain altitude, a series of pink markers come into view on the horizon. These are Centaur helicopter crash sites west of the Saigon River. These are the sites we passed over in our first video. Phu Loi is also coming into view in the foreground and can be seen as a blue marker. Phu Loi is where I had my brief in-country orientation. I don't remember much about it except our instructor had a house cat as a pet and told us to take a good look because it would be the last cat we would see while in country. He turned out to be correct. We are now starting our descent into Phu Loi Base. Many features of the old base can still be seen, including the remains of the runway. The area around the base seems to be much more urbanized than in 1971. This is a picture of downtown Phu Loi taken during the war. The main runway can now be seen as the cleared strip through the wooded area and will pass on our left. We will fly directly over the main part of the base. Footprints of many of the buildings and perhaps a radar site can still be seen. There appears to be some new construction at the far end of the base. Somewhere I heard that the base was converted to a communist re-education camp after the war. Apparently, the base has been kept relatively free from development, which is so apparent outside the base boundaries. We have now made a turn to the north-northwest and are now headed toward Ben Hoa and the Centaur base at Lai Khe. A quick glance out our left front shows several Centaur crash sites between Cu Chi and Tay Ninh. Nui Ba Dien can be seen on the horizon. We are now approaching the outskirts of the town of Ben Hoa. We will fly over the town and intersect Highway QL-13, known during the war as Thunder Road. While it was a 2-lane dirt and asphalt road in 1971, it is a 4-lane highway today. Even though earlier in the war, Lai Khe became known as Rocket City, it is fondly remembered by most Centaurs that were stationed there. The living areas were in the middle of a rubber plantation that provided shade for the open-air hooches. Rocket and mortar attacks were still common in 1971, but most troopers regretted leaving the cool, comfortable surroundings of Lai Khe for the hot, ugly metal barracks in Long Binh. Coming into view on the right is the 5-point traffic circle in Ben Hoa. I'm not positive that it was there during the war, but it seems familiar. I definitely remember passing through there on my trip back to Lai Khe in 2008. Below us is now QL-13 as it leaves Ben Hoa and turns north toward the old base at Lai Khe. As we approach the base at low level, you may notice that the highway seems to be undulating, or even notice some anomalous pyramids. This is a result of poor elevation data for this area. Lai Khe can now be seen as a yellow marker indicating a home base of the Centaurs. This overlay shows Lai Khe Airfield on the right of the highway on a similar approach in 1971. The living area was in a mature rubber plantation to the right of the yellow marker. That plantation has since been cut down and replaced with younger trees. I walked the area of the old runway in 2008 while on assignment with USDA. That completes the tour. We will now circle back toward Ben Hoa and attempt a landing on a highway currently under construction. My original plan was to land on QL-13 parallel to the old runway, but poor elevation data prevented any hope of a simulated landing there. As we land, you will notice the anomalous hills along the construction site. Those of you familiar with Lai Khe no doubt remember it as a fairly flat, featureless terrain. The Google Earth data is so bad in this area, occasionally a hill looking like the Eiffel Tower will stick almost straight up out of an agricultural field. Now for the landing. If you're interested in learning more about Centaurs in Vietnam, including the aircraft involved, the weapons, the tactics, and stories told by the veterans themselves, visit our website at www.centaursinvietnam.org. Also, if you'd like to use Google Earth Pro yourself and explore some of our sites, including the bases, significant areas of operation, as well as the crash sites, you can download these sites from our website. Go to Centaurs in Vietnam. On the left, choose Help. under frequently asked questions, go down to item number 61, and that will take you to our Google Earth Pro site page, and then you can scan down to Google Earth Pro Centaur Interactive Map and download our Centaur Places KMZ directly to your computer that will plot all these for you on Google Earth Pro. And all this is free of charge.